Hey everybody, it's me, Mark with theprojectjunkie.com. In this video series, I'm going to show you guys how to refinish a rifle stock. In my hands here, I've got two stocks. Basically, these both looked exactly the same before refinishing this one here. It came off a Ruger 1022. This is what the stock looked like before refinishing. This is what it looked like right out of the box. And this is what it looked like after stripping, restaining, and refinishing. It's now a golden brown color and also glossy. So you can use this process on guitars and other furniture, doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and get started, and hopefully I'll be able to show you something you didn't already know. If you want to see how I stripped and stained this stock, then check out video 1, which is the stripping method, and then video 2, which is the staining method for these stocks. That gets us to this point here, where I'm going to use a clamp and these two screws that just hold the butt plate on of the stock to hold the stock up off the tin foil. There's also a finish nail on the front there to hold it up. So just use some tack cloth to wipe down the stock that gets any little pieces of debris or whatnot off of it. Then you just use some Tru-Oil and put a coat on. I will prefer using the finger wipe method just because it goes on thicker. However, you have to let it dry for longer. Instead of the 2 hours, I'd go about 4 hours. Otherwise, it's still just a little bit too sticky. Once I've done that, I just use some steel wool on the first couple of coats to kind of knock off anything that needs to be knocked off there. Now, I don't really prefer the steel wool after a couple of coats, just because the steel particles stick to the stock into the finish. So I really prefer to use some 600 grit for the first 6 or so coats. So you can see here, after the first 2 coats of using the steel wool, I'm switching over to the 600 grit. And I do wet sand it. I just use a little bit of water, put it on the sanding paper, and sand it down. So this is what it looks like after 4 coats of Tru-Oil. I'm just going to use this block and kind of level things off here. Now you got to be careful, because if you sand too much off, you'll start to sand some of the stain off of it, and you'll have some patches there. On this particular stock, there's a couple of areas where I went just a little bit too deep on it, and they show up, so be careful when you're doing it. Make sure when you're sanding this down, you take off some of the oil runs that might happen or might occur. So you want to level everything out there. Okay, I decided to switch over to 1000 grit for the final layers, and this seemed to be a pretty good idea to do. 600 kind of cut into the wood grains just a little bit more than I wanted it to, and the 1000 grit seemed to eliminate that. Okay, for the last 2 coats, I'm going to use a rag. This is just a cotton cloth. going to put the oil on the cotton cloth and wipe that on there. Now this you only have to let dry a couple of hours, just because you're putting it on really thin layers at this point. So now just hit it again with some 1000 grit. Okay, and this is coat number 10. Again, I'm just using a cloth to wipe this on, and this will be the final layer. And I'll let this sit for probably around 24 hours. So you can see here I just got some polishing compound. I'm just going to use a regular old orbital sander. I just got some cotton cloth on there. It's kind of like a wife beater type cloth. I got this in a box of rags, and I'm just going to apply the rubbing compound on here, or the polishing compound, and then run it over the stock. You can also just wipe the polishing compound on the stock if you want. It seems to work pretty good too. And then use the sander on it. This method actually worked really good. I was quite pleased with it. I have another buffing wheel, but this seemed to work really good. So if you don't have a buffing wheel, give this a shot. See, after working it just a little while, it starts to really glossing that thing up. Okay, now I'm going to go over any spots I really couldn't get with the sander very good. I'm just going to use some of the polishing compound and rub it in certain areas. Okay, and finally I'm just going to wax this thing up with some gunstock wax. I just work it in really good over the same kind of areas. Just rub it in, keep rubbing until it kind of dries. And once you've done that, just take a nice clean cloth there and kind of rub it out. You can see there already it's really shiny, so it looks really nice. See there, it's nice and shiny, all finished up. Looks good, I'm happy with it, so go ahead and put the gun back together. Alright you guys, well there she is. This is the Refinish 1022 stock, and if you ask me, it turned out great. In fact, it turned out just like I wanted it to, with the beautiful golden brown color and beautiful glossy finish there. You can see that there in the light. Just to kind of remind you what this stock used to look like, here's the standard Ruger 1022 stock, how it comes out of the box. Now I realize not all of these stocks are exactly like this coming out of the box, but this is the most common wood one. And so basically we've taken this stock and transformed it into this stock here. Now on this video series that I did, this is not the only way to refinish a stock. There's tons of different ways you guys can do it. I know some of you guys are going to be wanting to use lacquers or urethane clears on this. That's up to you. You can alter it however you want. Just let us know how it turns out. Also, I used tobacco brown and vintage amber on the stain, and layered it in a way to kind of give it a little bit of a characteristic that I wanted. You guys can do this a solid color if you want. You could also do multicolor. You can put colors in certain areas like on the edges and different color in the middle. It's left up to your interpretation and whatever your heart's desire is. So get creative. Do something that's along the lines of your personality. Another thing on the finish, if you're using Tru-Oil like I did, you can change the gloss of the finish pretty easily. Basically, if you want a matte or more of a satin finish, you don't put as many layers on. So if you put 1 or 2 layers of the Tru-Oil on, then you're going to come out with more of a matte or satin finish. And then the more layers you add to it, you'll come up with the semi-gloss and then glossy. So keep that in mind as you're doing this. Anyway, hopefully I was able to show you something that you didn't already know. If you have any comments or questions, let me know down below in the comment section. Or you can find me at theprojectjunkie.com. Again, my name is Mark, and I will catch you guys on the next project.